Welcome to Indie Gems, a video series where I discuss nothing but independent comic books and award these comic books with their own gem. I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content and you like me helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy, and you've been watching for a while and you haven't hit that subscribe button, guys, go ahead and do so. So yeah, guys, if you're looking for new #1 issues that are independent comic books this week, check out Worthy Ones, as that covers all the new #1 comic books that I read for Comic Book Week. And good ones were Scott Snyder's You Won't Feel a Thing, and there's the other book called Behemoth. So you'll find those indie books there. All right, guys, so before we get started, I need to let you know about a nice little sidekick for your comic book collection. So you know the problem, guys. You start a brand new short box, there's a few comics in there, maybe it's half full, right? And those comic books tend to slide, they slouch, they fall over. You look to the side while you're flipping on them, and then all of a sudden, boom, they crush. And those near mint comics are not near mint anymore. They're absolutely destroyed. So why not check out a Sidekick today? They are a great assistant in your comic book collection. I have quite a few of these Sidekicks. They're these little plastic devices. They look like this. They slide onto your short box, and you can adjust it along the short box to keep those comic books propped up, all the weight not going to the back of the box. It is an absolutely great product. And when you use my promo code Slayer15, you're going to get 15% off of your Sidekick order. And it's also free shipping. These things are very affordable. They're absolutely great. The next thing I want you guys to know about is that Sidekick has now teamed up with Comic Proline. These bags and boards are absolutely phenomenal. I have quite a few of them myself. I most recently started using them. They're just like Mylars, guys, and they are top-notch quality. And if you go onto the website, you can order bags and boards, $24.99, free shipping. Absolutely awesome. I'm going to go to Comic Proline and get these bags and boards all the time. So check out sidekick.com. Get your supplies today. You will not be disappointed. So there's definitely some stiff competition when it comes to the independent comic books this week. There were a lot of good ones. And the first one we're talking about this week is Minor Arcana issue 5. This book is written and drawn by Jeff Lemire. This book is a 32-page comic for the price of $5. Now, we've learned about this story about this young woman by the name of Teresa, who's went back home to take care of her sick mother. Her mother was a tarot card reader. And so one night we wind up seeing this lady that's in the town, and she's like, oh, I want my tarot cards read, and I want to see my husband in again. And she's like, all right, come on in. Like, you know, I've seen my mom do this a whole bunch of times. And the first time that she's done this, it took her to this whole other world, this hotel, this other weird place. And we've been slowly getting introduced to like this world that Teresa goes into. Now, in this issue, in issue 5, we wind up getting introduced to like her grandfather. And we known from past issues that her grandfather is really important in her life, and he died at a young age, at her young age, and he left her that trench coat that she wears. That's what you see on the cover. You see her, you see the grandfather, and in this issue, it really focuses on the grandfather here. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to have his own story arc or what's going on here, but you learn more about his life when he was alive, right? And he was just your everyday Joe Schmo type of character. He's about to turn 40. He has a wife. He has his kid, obviously, which is the daughter's mom, right? And, but it's the same normal everyday routine, and he feels like there's something much more in his life, right? And so he tries to change things up. He has a one-night fling with a chick that's at the bar one time, and he's driving home from that bar that one night, and he gets into a horrific accident, and someone perishes because of it, and it's just a rough going for this guy. Now, Where do we go from here? How is he inserted into the main story? Does Teresa meet up with him again? I'm sure she will, but Jeff Lemire's books are very intriguing to me, and I think this is a wonderful book. And if you can't get it on the racks now, wait for it on trade. But this book, for me, it gets awarded the Orange Gem, which means that book is on fire. That's right, guys. This book delivers each and every week, and or every month. I love how this book is just unique. It's different. It's outside the box, and that's why I love Jeff Lemire's writing. The moon is following us. This is issue 5, 32 pages for the price of $4. I really want to appreciate everyone that let me know that this one is a 10-issue maxi series. For some reason, I thought this ended at 6 because it's coming to the end of a story arc, okay? So thank you for letting me know. This one is written by Daniel Warren Johnson, and the art is done by Riley Rosmo. I think Riley Rosmo's artwork in this book has worked pretty well. Him and Daniel Warren Johnson have done a pretty good job at kind of meshing things together from the fake world to the real world, and this battle at hand continues for Penny. The creatures are insane. This is all from Penny's mind. Obviously, she's been in this sleep state, and we wind up getting to see the husband and the father kind of go at this battle to try to rescue their daughter. Now, when it comes to this particular issue, it's kind of more of the same. We see like more of our heroes. They're really weak. They got their blood drained from that one little creature there. And you're just kind of just like, oh man, they can't fight. And at the end, you have a betrayal here, and you're just like, oh, that kind of sucks, And then one particular character gets killed, and you're like, oh man, that sucks too. But for me, this book is a little bit of a step down. I don't feel like this book has as much emotion as previous issues or previous series from Daniel Warren Johnson, like maybe Murder Falcon or Do a Power Bomb or even Transformers. And so for me, this book gets the purple gem, and this one is just like, it's good. It's meh. It's mid. It's all right. I just feel like they focus so much on the action that there could be a little bit more emotion to it. And I think that's my problem with it. And I want more character development out of Samantha and Duncan. Like, we don't get that much. Like, right from the start, we've been thrown into this action of this comic book, and it's been a mile a minute here. We don't ever stop. And I think that's kind of a problem for this series, for me at least anyway. I do like the emotional piece at the end where you find out there's that betrayal, but that's the one thing I have with this series is just it doesn't ever slow down to really, get that feeling from those characters. And I think that's what will take this comic book to the next level for me. Gunslinger Spawn! This is issue 39. This one's written by Todd McFarlane, and the art is done by Carlo Barberi. The artwork is always phenomenal when it comes to Gunslinger Spawn. I think Barberi does a great job. He did it when he was on Spawn, and then now he switched with Brett Booth. And Brett Booth is now doing Spawn, and they swapped titles. I don't know why, but still. Look at that 2-page spread, man. Looks really, really freaking good. Just, great price for this comic book. It's $2.99. I get that it's only 24 pages, but you know what? I'd rather have maybe a couple less pages and pay $2.99 than pay $5.99 for a comic book, right? So... all right, so when it comes to Gunslinger Spawn, the story is very slow. It's a slow burn book, but it doesn't make it a bad book. And we recently saw Spawn, or Gunslinger, I should say, actually get his powers back, and he's running from the police that are trying to capture him for the crimes that he's done in the past. Now, this book focuses him on the run, and he has his dogs with him. Obviously, the dogs go by his side. He has, control over them, and they're loyal to him. And he goes into this snowstorm, and it shows you how loyal Javier is towards these dogs. He wraps them up in a blanket, and he doesn't want them to die, and he hides in this cave, and the next thing you wind up seeing is he does this great freaking battle against this freaking bear. So he's sacrificing his life to protect his dog there, and I love that story. I just love how the dog is man's best friend, and that's what it got at here. However, I can't give this book the highest gem or even the second highest gem, so I'm going to give it the purple gem, which I'm going to justify what that is now because I was kind of not clear on that. That just means that this book is good. It's a good book, but it doesn't really progress the story, and that's the problem with Gunslinger. It's just month after month after month, we don't take any steps forward, and I need them to take a step forward. We got Gunslinger who's got his powers back now. Let's move things along a little bit. I'm all good for a man and his dog story, but okay, guys, let's move forward. We can do better. Feral, issue 9. 28 pages for the price of $4. This one's written by Tony Fleece, and the art is done by Trish Forster and Tone Rodriguez. My gosh, man, the artwork in this book, it always continues to impress. Obviously, if you read Stray Dogs and Feral for a while, you know what to expect from the artwork in this comic book. The cats are full of expressions. You don't normally get to see human faces in this comic, whether it was Stray Dogs or Feral. And for the first time in this comic or in any of these series, we see a human face in here. It may not be pretty. It may not be a pretty face, but you wind up getting to see it. Now, this whole comic book is based off of animals having rabies and our cats running away, and they went to this supposed safe house, and we find out that we got the crazy cat lady that hoards all the cats in here. And there's a room where the cats actually all have rabies, and that door was open, and there's just a freaking complete blood bath that happens in the comic book. So freaking cool. It's totally insane. Look at this. There's just blood everywhere, and I'm going to show you the lady in this. So this is huge spoiler, so if you haven't seen the book or read the book yet, here we go. This is what she looks like. And I was like, oh, dang. She's sick, and we get to see the cats struggle on them kind of being I don't want to leave. And Elsie's just you need to leave. We need to get out of here. What are you, crazy? Can't you see that there's all kinds of things going on? There's tension in this. There's action. There's blood. There's gore. Who would have ever thought that there would be a book focused around cats and it being a horror book? So amazing, so well done. And there is a term that's called toxoplasmosis. That's actually a thing that happens to humans if they come in contact with cat poop, right? And so now you understand why the Catwoman is the way she is and the way certain cats are in this comic book as well. This book is awarded the red gem, which means it's untouchable. This is a fantastic book. Every time it comes out, it delivers, and it just seems to get better every single time. So I definitely recommend Feral issue 9. Space Ghost. This is issue 9. This book is 32 pages for the price of $5. Written by David Pepose, and Jonathan Lau does the artwork. Guys, I will say it every time. If you're not reading Space Ghost, you should be reading it because it's not like a cheesy, campy version of Space Ghost that you might remember from, old school days. And if you've never even heard of Space Ghost before, this is a great book. It's drawn so well. It's just very intense. There's lots of action, there's family dynamic in here, there's great villains. It's just overall a fantastic book. And in this issue, this is the second part to this story and the conclusion to this little arc as we get to see Space Ghost continue his battle against Metalis. Now, he is a character that's trying to take over the Federation, and he kind of won round one against Space Ghost in this book, and he crushed his armbands, and now Jaina and Jace are trying to help out and stop the space cruiser, and you wind up seeing Space Ghost actually prevail here. Now, when he's trying to take down Metalis, what made this book for me really good is that we got to see some really raw emotion from Space Ghost as he was defeating the adversary here, and he wound up having flashbacks of his family, his wife, his kids, and you're just like, oh man, it's just so intense, and you could not help but feel that pain for Space Ghost, right? Just so awesome, really cool. And then at the end, he's like, all right, guys, let's go home. So in my eyes, this book is fire. This is awarded that orange gem, a really good book. Now, there's no real, I feel, grand purpose for this book, but that's okay, right? It doesn't always need to have this huge overarching story. This kind of reminds me of just old school comics where you got 1 and 2 issues that have to deal with a story and you move on, right? But yeah, I definitely recommend this book. This one is really, really good. G.I. Joe, this is issue 3, 28 pages for the price of $4. This one is written by Joshua Williamson, and the art is done by Tom Riley. Some would say that this book's artwork may not be the best, or maybe the colors might lack a little bit, and I think in some certain instances, I would agree in that. Maybe I would like a little bit more detail, or maybe things a little bit more rough around the edges when it comes to, G.I. Joe versus, I almost said Transformers, but Cobra. But still, I like it. I do like the artwork. I think it's good. I like the way Cobra Commander looks. I love how, in character these characters are, and it's still an adjustment for me to see, the Baroness be a Joe. But it's still pretty cool. Now, in this comic book, we wind up getting to see kind of like a conflict between Duke and the character Risk in the comic, trying to see who's gonna lead G.I. Joe and whatnot, and then, we get to see our Joes lick their wounds from a battle against Cobra that they lost, and they kind of come into an agreement with each other going, hey, we got to work together or otherwise we're going to lose the war here, right? And they're discovering what the energy rifles are and who Cobra is for the first time, and they find out if actually Clutch is alive or dead, because you weren't sure if, they weren't sure if he was alive at the end of the last issue, and they're basically going after this scientist, right, that has some important technology, and so Cobra's after him, and G.I. Joe wants to protect him, and you get to see that conflict actually get introduced towards the end of this issue, and then we get introduced to those twins at the end as well, as it looks like they're going to be doing battle against them. So this book was really good. However, it wasn't top tier for me, but the book is still fire. It gets awarded that orange gem. I love G.I. Joe. I love seeing all these different characters. I feel like the artwork is to be desired at times, a little bit more. And I'm so anxious. I'm impatient to see the direction of this comic in the long term, a year from now, where we're going to be, right? So I just want a little bit more intensity out of it. I want some freaking kick-ass battle action. I want more Cobra Commander. I just want balls to the walls for some reason in this book. But it's okay if it slows down, because I do need that character development as well. All right, so now it's time for that indie gem of the week, and it was between two comics. It was between Feral and Space Ghost, but the Indie Gem of the Week definitely goes to Feral issue 9. That was the only book that this week that was the untouchable book for me, and obviously gets put down on that list for best independent comic book of the year. And by the time I get to the end of the year, I'm going to discover or find out or look over all these books and see which was my favorite independent comic book. So do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. And if there's a series out there that you want to recommend to me for an independent comic, just let me know in the comments below. So, of course, guys, I'm going to leave you more content right here. In fact, it's Worthy Ones, where it discusses all those new issue 1s and probably my comic book haul or something like that. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read your comics so we can have great comic conversation just like we did today. Guys, thank you. I'll see you real soon. Bye.